You open your phone, one new message. You read it, your stomach drops. And then, nothing. You leave it on read. You do not reply. Days turn into weeks. You ghosted them. We have all done it, or had it done to us. That cold, silent vanishing act feels uniquely modern, a product of dating apps, endless options, digital distance. But what if I told you this behavior is ancient? Older than marriage. Older than farming. Older than the very idea of commitment as we know it. Picture yourself 300,000 years ago. You are in a small band of 30 or 40 people. Everyone knows everyone. There is no ghosting because there is literally nowhere to disappear to. You sleep shoulder to shoulder. Every glance, every absence, every change in mood is noticed immediately. Yet even then, people drifted apart. Bonds formed and faded, not because someone stopped replying to a text, but because one day, one of them simply walked to the other side of camp and started a new life. This was normal for more than 90% of human history. Relationships were fluid. A man and a woman would come together, build a shelter, raise children for a time, and often part ways when the spark dimmed or better opportunities appeared. The woman frequently chose to leave. She would gather her things, pick up her youngest child, and move on without ceremony. No one could stop her. There were no lifelong vows, no legal contracts, no social media to explain yourself to. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherers like the Hadza of Tanzania found that only about 1 in 5 adults stays with the same partner for life. Most form bonds, raise a child or two, then drift. And they drift again. Pairing and repairing was simply how life unfolded. The Hadza are not alone in this pattern. Among the Juhonzi of the Kalahari, serial partnerships were documented across entire lifetimes. Some individuals moving through 5 or 6 unions before old age. Among the Ache of Paraguay, researchers recorded similar rhythms, children often being raised by a rotating set of mother figures and father figures, rather than one fixed pair locked together until death. And in parts of southern China, the Mosuo people never adopted the institution of marriage at all. Partners visit each other at night and part in the morning, belonging fully to their own maternal households. No ceremony, no permanent merger, no ghosting either, because there was never a promise of permanence to break in the first place. This tells us something uncomfortable. The lifelong monogamous pair, sealed with vows and legal paperwork, is not the default setting of our species. It is a cultural overlay built on top of a much older, more fluid mating system. And that older system did not disappear when we built cities and signed marriage certificates. It is still running underneath, quietly shaping how we form bonds and how we break them. So why does ghosting feel so brutal today? Because deep down, our brains are still wired for that ancient world, where disappearing had real consequences. In small bands, abandoning someone without explanation could mean conflict. Resources were shared. Children needed multiple caregivers. A sudden silent exit risked retaliation, damaged alliances, or left children vulnerable. Our ancestors developed powerful emotional systems to detect and respond to rejection. The pain of being left was not just sadness, it was a survival alarm. Consider what silence actually meant back then. If a hunting partner stopped speaking to you, that silence could mean he was planning to exclude you from the next kill. If a mate suddenly grew distant, it could mean she was already forming a new alliance. Silence was data, and your brain evolved to treat it as urgent data, worth obsessing over, worth losing sleep over. Because in a world of 30 people, missing the signal could cost you your place in the group. Fast forward to today. Technology gave us the perfect tool to do what our ancestors rarely could. Vanish without immediate consequences. No awkward conversations across the campfire. No risk of physical confrontation. Just a blue tick and silence. But here is what is crazier. The same neural circuits that once protected small group harmony now torture us in the age of infinite choice. Every swipe on a dating app triggers the same ancient machinery that once evaluated potential partners based on who could bring meat back to camp. The man who provided was chosen. The one who could not was overlooked. Modern ghosting is the shadow of that old calculus. With thousands of potential partners a click away, the cost of investing deeply feels too high. Why commit when something better might appear tomorrow? Our brains treat people like options on an endless menu. Just as our ancestors weighed alliances in a world of scarcity. There is a name for part of this in modern psychology. The paradox of choice. When our ancestors met a handful of potential partners across an entire lifetime, commitment was simple because there was nothing to compare it against. Today, the average dating app user is shown hundreds of faces in a single evening. The ancient brain was never built to evaluate that volume of options. It was built to size up 2 or 3 real people standing in front of a fire. Faced with hundreds, that same brain does the only thing it knows how to do. It keeps searching, and searching becomes an excuse to never fully arrive. Yet the pain remains prehistoric. Being ghosted lights up the same brain regions as physical pain. The anterior cingulate cortex, the same region that fires when you burn your hand. Rejection feels like a threat to survival because, for most of history, social exile could literally kill you. Your band was your everything. Protection, food, mating, child rearing. To be cut off without explanation triggered deep abandonment terror. This is why ghosting hurts so much more than a direct breakup. The lack of closure leaves the ancient social monitoring system spinning endlessly. Did I do something wrong? Are they safe? Will they come back? The brain cannot file it away as resolved. Psychologists call this ambiguous loss, a grief with no funeral, no confirmed ending, just an open wound that the mind keeps returning to, searching for a resolution that never arrives, even more darkly. Some researchers suggest ghosting is a low-cost way to manage the very real evolutionary tension between pair bonding and seeking better genetic opportunities. Humans are among the rare mammals that form strong pair bonds at all. Yet we also show high rates of extra-pair mating. We bond deeply, and we stray. Ghosting lets us pursue the stray without burning bridges too obviously, or so we tell ourselves. But the people left behind carry the wound of unexplained rejection. Exactly like those ancient partners watching someone walk to a new shelter across camp. And the data on how common this has become is striking. Surveys conducted across the past decade suggest that more than half of adults who have used dating apps report being ghosted at least once. And a similar share admit to ghosting someone else. This is not a fringe behavior. It has become the default exit strategy of an entire generation, not because people have grown crueler, but because the tool for silent disappearance has never been more frictionless. A single swipe removes a person from your life as easily as they entered it. The irony. In trying to avoid difficult conversations, we create more lasting damage. Our ancestors had to live with the consequences of their choices in tight-knit groups. Today we can disappear, but the emotional residue lingers in both parties far longer than it should. So the next time you feel the urge to ghost, remember this: you are not just ignoring a text. You are triggering a survival response as old as fire itself. A response that once kept bands together through ice ages and predators. The dark reason we cannot stop ghosting is not because we are worse people than our ancestors. It is because technology finally gave us the power to do what they could only dream of, to leave without looking back. But our hearts, forged around ancient fires, still have not caught up deep inside. That same heart still aches for the kind of bonds that could not be ended with silence.